On his debut, Jarno Uppbeat wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ronhard takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Dobbin around the outside operated line. Shut up! His contact again, Ronhard is around.
Bethany, surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does!
16 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12. Good evening everyone, and welcome along to some more WOR action here as we head to Bahrain for round number 8 of the championship here on PC. I'm Ginger Andy. Join me tonight, we have Dan Field once again for this one. And Dan, after a fantastic race this afternoon, which saw Charles Leclerc take the victory, I wonder how we'll get on in WOR around this wonderful Bahrain circuit here in the desert.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen having their battles was really tantalising to watch. And hopefully we can see the same in WOR, where the grid is ever so competitive. Following what was a great race last time in Italy, surely we're going to have similar scenes like that in Bahrain. Yeah, I'm sure we will. Look at the driver standings. The drivers are just heading out for their laps right now, so we won't take too long over this. We're running a little bit late, apologies for that, but here is the standings. Nicholas Longuet on top on 90 points with Alvaro Carreton right behind him now, just 2 points further back. Shanaka Clay dropping off the pace a little bit in both WOR and PSGL on 67. Tomic Paraj is fresh from his victory last time out in Italy on 52. Luke Smith is next on 50 with Thomas Ronhard on 41. Barry Buraman 37, Jake Benham 33, Ruben Pedreño 29, and pardon me, Danny Beresney on 25. So interesting stuff in the championship. It's looking at the minute like Longuet versus Carreton, isn't it, Dan? Yeah, it's getting all too tight between the pair of them. Of course, Longuet with the podium last time out in Italy, and then Alvaro Carreton unfortunately being eliminated early on in qualifying in Q2. That put him in a bad place for the race. Then the medium runners ended up losing the DRS to the soft runners ahead, and that made their races even tougher. So he'll feel a little bit hard done by what happened last week, but I'd imagine he's going to come back with a vengeance today. Yep, he sure will. I'm sure he will. So let's jump in, folks, to qualifying. We might as well jump right into it. There's cars out there on the racetrack. Let's find them out there right now. Of course, they are out there, though, on the intermediate tyre at the start of this session. And Jake Benham is one of them out there. Of course, folks, if you're new to the top tier stuff, we do have 3 qualifying sessions, Q1, Q2, Q3, just like in real life Formula 1. Adds a little bit of immersion to the event. And of course, bottom 5, 16 to 20 drop out in Q1. Then the next slowest, 11th to 15th, sets the grid in Q2. And then the top 10 shootout for pole position. And if you're wondering why they're out there on intermediate tyres on a dry track, it's because they want to try and save a set of tyres. And Dan, looks like there's a few of them out there already on the inters. And yes, they're just getting a feel for it on those tyres. And pretty slippery and slidey for Jake Benham so far. Yeah, absolutely. That being said, though, Sam Corby is on a run at the minute on a set of medium compounded tyre in his Alpha Tauri. It's weird to see the old generation of cars around this circuit now that we've had pre-season testing and all the practice sessions, and of course the race today. It's a bit odd to see these drivers out in the old cars. I believe Sam's backed off on this lap as Jeffrey Ritchie is the first of the intermediate runners to cross the line. I'd imagine that when they're not going to be using those tyres at all in the Bahrain desert.
Yep, I don't think we'll be using them. Mind you, in PSGL the other night we had some rain, didn't we, in Jeddah? So you never know. You never know. And the word rain is in the word Bahrain. So yeah, every chance. As one of the Alfa Romeos went for a spin at the final corner as Sam Corby completes that lap, 132.8. I'm sure the times will dip much lower than that throughout the session. Simon Perigny, he's out there as well on the intermediate tyres. Let's see where he can go. Of course, folks, the drivers at the minute just getting a feel for it. Don't want to be using up tyres they don't need to at this early stage of qualifying. Is Perigny going to complete the lap on the Inter? Yes, he is, and he will go just in front of Jeffrey Ritchie at 1 minute 37.6. Tom Martinez, he's out there on an outlap on the medium tyre, and he'll be looking for a strong result today. Won't he? Qualified well last week, if I remember rightly, and a really good race, and I think he scored some points, so he'll be looking for something pretty similar, Dan.
I think he was actually caught out pretty early on, lost DRS to the main runners, then got caught by the medium drivers, and it was sort of curtained from there. He couldn't really recuperate, but he has had some good performances so far this season. If you could cast your mind back to Belgium, the first round of the season, remember after penalties, before penalties were fixed, he was on the podium at one point. Then he was demoted to only score 6 points. He's on 7 points in this championship, 23rd in the standings. But it is lovely to see that he always does turn up. He always tries his hardest, and he does put the grind in to these leagues, you know, PSGL and WOR. So Tom, someone who's very, very admirable, of course, with the league race, the career mode stuff as well. He really does work so hard. But on his run at the minute, Sam Corby decided to do 2 in a row. He's done a 27.7. We'll see where Martinez stacks up. He's just coming in towards turn 11 now, braking at around about 70 meters, and off the exit of that corner, it's an uphill climb in towards the double right-hander of turn 12 and 13. It's a 6 flat through the first and second sector combined, so we just got one more sector to go, which is essentially a straight and 2 braking zones. He's coming down the back straight here and in towards the final corner. We'll see what Tom Martinez can do, as he's got a clear track in front of him. Oh dear, snap of steering for him there, and that might have killed his time. We'll see what he does across the line. And yeah, understandably, he's quite a bit slower than Sam Corby, but only by just under 4/10, which I think that slide probably lost him more than that.
Yeah, so Tom Martinez, opening lap of the session, a bit scrappy, a bit slidey in that final corner. Big snap on the rear of his car, but it looks like he's managed to get round without too much problem. Tomek Paradzis is also out there. They're fresh from his victory last week in Monza, and it was a super performance, but he's backed out of this qualifying lap almost before it's began, so he must have had a really poor turn 1. We picked him up just after the first corner, so perhaps snatching the right front, breaking into the first corner, and perhaps running wide and ruining that lap and the set of tyres in the process. So we'll see what Tomek Paradzis will do next time by, but he was certainly very, very strong last week, Dan, wasn't he? He looked in the form of his life and picked up a brilliant victory.
Yeah, that being said, though, we did have some pretty strong competition against him, the likes of John Evans before his race went awry, and Nicolas Longuet was also keeping him company. So certainly Paradzis, despite being the fastest man in the end and winning the race, he wasn't in a league of his own. He's not completely unbeatable, and unfortunately he's invalidated his lap at the minute. No one's really out on circuit doing their soft runs yet. They're all on out laps at the minute, aside from Jake Benham in his Mercedes, making his return to WOR since Zandvoort, where he picked up a podium. He's either finished on the podium or outside the points altogether. He's on his run at the minute, coming into the downhill second sector. He's purple in sector 1, understandably, given that he's the only one who's done this sector on soft, a lot quicker than the mediums that have been set by Sam Corby and Tom Martinez. In towards a double downhill left-hander of turns 9 and 10, and off the exit, Jake Benham riding the curbs. He's just got 1.5 more sectors here, Andy. Yep,
1.5 more sectors for Jake Benham as he now swings into the next left-hander, medium speed left-hander. Very easy to run out wide there and get yourself out onto the curb. Also easy to clip a wheel on the inside curve there and go for a spin, but Benham wise to that one as he does a 104.4 through the middle sector as Sam Corby continues to pound round. 4 laps he's done now on a set of medium tyres. He's certainly getting the laps in early on as Sam Corby, as Jake Benham rounds the final corner now, heads up to that line, and we'll get our first proper lap time on the soft compound tyre. 1 minute 25.606. That's the time to aim for early on in the session. So Benham on top.
Yep, it's a bit tricky to follow everyone whilst they're around on their laps. I think we've got the likes of McLavchich on a set of the mediums pretty far up in his run. I think Haddad is on an out lap. He's just coming through the final few corners now to begin his run. It's good to see the Italian on the grid, but McLavchich coming to the line now, unfortunately invalidating pretty far on around his lap. Jeffrey Ritchie's about to come to the line, and he goes just 1/10 shy of Jake Benham at the minute, and he's slowing down. He's completed that run. Louis Welch has crossed the line to go just 100th slower than Jeffrey Ritchie. Now I believe in the next part of the circuit, I think we might have Alvaro Caraton and Chinaka Clay, two very strong competitors and potential title challengers. As across the line, there goes Chinaka. He goes 2,000ths quicker than Jake Benham. Unfortunately, Caraton into the pit lane after an invalidation.
Yeah, Barry Brunemand, he is going purple though, as Duncan Hofflin goes P5. His teammate, meanwhile, is going very quickly indeed, and it looks like it will be enough to go into pole position. Pole position fastest, I should say, at this start of qualifying, as Clay is still on top, not been beaten. Statulet gets close, but not close enough to even get ahead of Benham. But here comes Brunemand, and that is a blistering lap. He smashes them aside by almost 2/10 of a second. As Pedreño now crosses the line, he now goes second on a 25.5. Good effort there from him. And who else we got out there? Daniele Haddad is out there as Nicholas Longi now goes to the top of the times. A 1:25.432 from him as Donoso goes P4. So here is the first effort from Daniele Haddad in the Ferrari. Round the final corner, he now goes up to the line. What's his opening effort? It's enough to go 4th on a 25.5. So good effort there from him. As Tom Martinez, I believe, just crossed the line. I think he went 15th. But let's see if Sam Corby... No, sorry. Louis Welch is on a lap. No, he's bailing out. He's coming into the pit. So that's most of the drivers done an opening run. McLavchich, he's invalidated it, and I think he's bailing out and coming into the pit. So Nicholas Longi then on top, Dan, after that first flying lap. And what on earth is McLavchich doing there? Okay. Okay, right. Never mind. But that's a strange one. Into the wall he goes. And out of qualifying, Dan.
Yeah, I had to scoff a little bit there. I was a bit taken aback. The camera flipped for me at the perfect time, where it was him riding along normally, and then the camera changes. I see him halfway in the air, like vertically. So that very interesting strategy, I'd say, from McLavchich. But that's him out of qualifying and eliminated in Q1. The other 4 drivers in the drop zone at the minute are Luke Smith, Perigny, Caraton and Paradzic. Caraton's coming out for an outlap here, so he's trying to get ahead of the crowd for his second run, so he's not disturbed by any dirty air. Not got long left in this qualifying session, actually. Only just about 4.5 minutes at this point in time. There's a lot of yellow flags, so we can't actually see the timings. But yeah, Alvaro Caraton got a mostly clear track in front of him. I believe that's Haddad in front of him, who's actually going to be pulling into the pit lane here. So the Spaniard should have a whole abundance of clear air.
Yep, he should have plenty of clean air to work in. And under a little bit of pressure here with 4 minutes to go. The man second in the championship. Of course, with no time on the board yet, you ideally want to have a lap time, a reference on your screen. But he doesn't have one at this stage, as Caraton now crosses the line and starts his flying lap with 4 minutes to go in this session. And boy, oh boy, he does need to get this time in on the board and get somewhere into that 1 minute 25 bracket. Good to have everyone tuning in tonight. If you like what you see here at WR, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Me and Dan are here most Sunday nights at 7 PM for all of the action, as we keep an eye on Caraton, the man second in the standings, just 2 points behind Nicholas Longi, and he does a 27.6 through the first sector. So Caraton on the march as he now goes downhill into this tricky right-hander, and then that's followed by a tricky left-hander. Dan, let's just talk about these hairpins, particularly this one, the left-hander here. I I'm not a particularly good driver. That's why I'm a commentator, but I never get it right. I'm always understeering wide or cutting the inside on the curb. It's such a difficult corner, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the drivers try to make the run into turn number 9 as straight as possible, so they run it wide for the entry there, then cut back inside. So they've essentially got a straight braking zone, but it is really tricky to master, and these F1 esports and challengers prospects make it seem completely like it's any other corner, you know, seamless to them. But for the average driver like you and I, it is very, very difficult. But Caraton, though, he's finally managed to knit this lap together to cross the line. Will it be a beautiful jumper? And indeed it is. He's just gone 200 slower than Nicolas Longuet. So that is not too bad from Caraton, and I think that should safely see him through into the next part of qualifying.
Yep, that should be him parking up in the garage, and that should be job done. Shinaka Clay retires. He's obviously happy with the 25.6. I wonder what everyone thinks the cut-off time will be. I'm thinking maybe around a 25.7, perhaps, something like that. Obviously, Shinaka Clay's happy with the 25.6, but that's quite marginal. We'll see how he goes. Benham's happy with his time. Ronhar's even happy with his time, so maybe it might be even slower than that as Perigny crosses the line now. This will be a good reference for everyone else. 25.5 for Simon Perigny. Goes up into 6th place, and that will put pressure on the likes of Ronhar, who's already 11th and in the garage. So he could be in serious trouble, and especially with drivers like Tomic Paradzis still to do a lap.
Paradzis is on a run at the minute. He's just come out of turn number 9 and 10, so he's got 1.5 more sectors until this lap is complete. He's got to nail it this time by Ronhar's also got to be careful of the likes of Corby, Martinez and Smith, who all have not done representative lap times of their actual pace. So through to the final sector, it is a 4.1 to split it for Atomic Paradzis. He's looking incredibly quick on this run, and here's Aston Martin, last week's race winner in Italy, now to come through the final corner and off the exit. We'll see what he can do as his foot's flat to the floor. It's Paradzis to the line. Is it going to be quickest? Indeed it is, by half a tenth clear of Nicolas Longuet to 1 minute 23.378. Fantastic stuff from the Polish driver.
Yeah, not looking good for Louis Welsh at the minute. He's not on a particularly quick lap, and he needs a lap, so can he get himself out of the bottom 5? I'll tell you who he also needs to do that, Tom Martinez, but he's not started his flying lap yet. Luke Smith, though, definitely needs to, and he's going very, very, very quickly. Quick enough, potentially, to go quickest of all here in the first part of qualifying. So let's see what Luke Smith can do as he winds into that final corner now and heads towards the line with that Alfa Romeo, but he has invalidated it, and it was a 25.4, and he'll be kicking himself for that. Jeffrey Ritchie's 14th, but he's invalidated, so it's all over for him too. Duncan Hofflin, meanwhile, is in the bottom 5 and needs to find time and needs to get out of that bottom 5. So here he goes now to the line. Can he drop Louis Welsh into bother? He sure can, but he only goes P14. Not a particularly strong lap from him. Liam Parnell, he's only 13th at the minute and needs this lap to, you know, ensure himself a place in the next part of qualifying. It's looking like a 25.7 might be the target here. Parnell goes 10th with a 25.5, and now there is serious pressure on both of the Alpha Tauris, Tom Martinez and Luke Smith. Can they find a way out of the bottom 5? Let's have a look, see who we can pick up. Let's go to Sam Corby or Louis Welsh. I think Louis Welsh is further round the lap. So here he is then, Louis Welsh in the final corner, coming up to the line. The pad man is in the bottom 5. Can he climb himself out and knock Jeffrey Ritchie in? He can. He goes a brilliant P5. Now Tom Martinez needs to find the time. Can he knock Duncan Hoffland out of qualifying? Martinez crosses the line. He can't. He's only P17. What about Sam Corby? He's only marginally quicker than his previous best, and that slide will not help him either. He should be out. He is out. P18 for him. Now, Luke Smith crossing the line maybe. No, he's not. He's invalidated it again. It's a horror session for Luke Smith as Jeffrey Ritchie, right at the death, goes P15. Duncan Hoffland is out of qualifying with Tom Martinez, Sam Corby, Luke Smith, and the strange incident involving Primoz Miklasic as well.
That's a big loss for Alfa Romeo in their constructors fight to have the driver who's been sort of the rear gunner to Nicolas Longuet be eliminated in qualifying this early on. He scored points in every round aside from Russia where he didn't finish, and it's going to be so difficult for him to finish inside that top 10 if he's in a position like this. So that is a big loss for Alfa Romeo. Thomas Ronhard just about survived. He was not safe by any means, but he decided to take the gamble, ended up 14th in that qualifying session. I think he's got to be a little bit more secure when it comes to Q2, but that is the classification for qualifying 1. Tomek Parajic leads the way from Nicolas Longuet in 2nd and Alvaro Carreton in 3rd. The top 4, by the way, all separated by less than a 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, exciting things happening here in WOR as we get ready for Q2. Parajic, Longuet, Carreton and Burmand, as you say, very tightly matched. Louis Welch next, good effort from him. Ruben Pedreño, Daniele Haddad, Piotr Stachulek, Simon Perugny and Fabrizio Donoso. Liam Parnell, Shanaka Clay, Jake Benham, Thomas Ronhard, he was brave, it worked out. Jeffrey Ritchie through as well. Out go Hofflin, Martinez, Corby, Smith and McClavsich from this session. So Dan, exciting stuff in qualifying, but a big disappointment there for Luke Smith. He was very quick on one of his laps, but kept invalidating and it's cost him dear.
Absolutely, he just could not find the lap, couldn't piece it together, and it was a real big loss for him. He'll be kicking himself over that one, but he's just got to cast that out of his mind. He's got half an hour break just about to maybe get some food or something and recuperate, get back in the car and then try and push for points. He's going to want to climb through the grid. We saw some pretty good charges through the grid so far in WOR this season, you know, thinking about Sam Corby back in Belgium. It was where he started 19th, ended up 2nd, so anything really is possible in F1.
Yep, everything and anything is possible. You're absolutely right, and we'll see if he is able to come charging back through the field. It should be an exciting second part of the qualifying, that's for sure. It's very early to be making predictions on who might get pole, but a few impressive performances there. Tomek Parajic is looking like carrying on that form from last week, Dan, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He was really impressed with how he's performed in qualifying trim this time around. Q2 is just getting underway, and amongst all the drivers pouring out the pit lane is Tomek Parajic, so he's going to be looking to continue the forward momentum that he has at the moment and possibly try and snatch himself a second win of the season. Yep,
drivers out on track as you stay. First man out there is Stachulek, and he's trying to get round there and see what he can do. The Polish driver took one of 2 poles in the field. Of course, Tomek Parajic, as we touched on, and Stachulek as well, as they go out on the soft tyre. Now, interesting to see what tyres they choose, but it does look like the majority, apart from Jake Benham, opting for the soft stand. Of course, just in case you're new folks, everyone that qualifies into the top 10 has to start on the tyre they qualified on in Q2. Everyone outside the top 10 has free tyre choice for the race, so it does look like they're all going to go for the soft tyre, doesn't it?
Yeah, Jake Benham is being the contrarian, going for the medium compound, so it is interesting to see where he'll end up. He's going to be at a severe disadvantage when it comes to tyre performance in comparison to the rest of the grid, but he's got some clear air in front of him. If he can hook up a lap well and possibly jump some of the soft runners, that could instill some confidence in him for later on in the session. But laps are beginning to start here. Piotr Stachulek is just coming through the final corner. A bad exit though, and already an invalidation for him. Is that going to affect him on his run-in? Indeed it is. So Stachulek has invalidated his time already, which means Tomek Parajic, he's going to be the lead runner at the minute in this session as he's in towards turn number 1. And imagine Stachulek's either going to give him some slipstream or just get out of his way, but he seems a bit too far up the road for the Aston Martin to really benefit from the tow, as in towards turn number 4 for Tomek Parajic, clipping the apex nicely, then running it out wide for the next second sector. It's a downhill spiral for turns 5, 6, 7 and up towards turn number 8, where it's easy to lock up and overshoot the corner, but Tomek Parajic, he faces no such issues. Up the hill, over the crest, and a wide line there for Parajic, sees him completely off the circuit and invalidating his time.
Yeah, disaster there for him. So that's a couple of drivers then that have invalidated. So picking up the baton for us is Ruben Pedreño, the third man out there on a lap behind those two that I've just seen make an invalidation. So what can he do? But a very good first effort in Q1, no issues at all. Bang, good lap right away, got him into the next part of qualifying. Let's see how it's looking this time round. Middle sector solid, but it does look like it won't be particularly quick, so we'll see how he gets on as he now makes his way up towards the final corner. Pedreño then, the Spaniard, spins the wheel into that final turn. Now that's wide, very wide, gets away though without any invalidation, but sportingly backs out, so fair play to him for doing that. Honest and respectful driving there from him. That's what you like to see, isn't it?
Absolutely, as a lot of these guys seemingly have invalidated their laps. They're all crossing the line, but no one's actually setting a time. Benham's invalidated his lap, as well as Parnell coming to the line. He's going to set a valid run. He does go quickest and goes ahead. What about Ronha? He looks fast, but he does go slower than Parnell. That is not a safe time by any means necessary for Thomas Ronha, neither for Caraton. That's a very slow lap by Caraton standards, actually. A 26.6 is not where he wants to be, but even in saying all of this, he's still third position because everyone else just found a way to invalidate.
Well, it looks to me like someone's quite, as Dennis pointed out in the chat, and I think it's a fair point. It might be the case that they're all invalidating to start on the medium tyre, and maybe Pedreño wasn't backing out sportingly, he was backing out to try and maybe he was just backing out to try and get himself onto the sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. To get it, so he could go back onto the medium tyre. But yeah, interesting stuff there. So all of them going for an invalidated lap time in the end. But of course, Liam Parnell, the only man setting a proper time. But Liam Parnell, from time to time, he does like to be that guy that tries to get into the final part of qualifying and go on the softs. I've seen him do that a couple of times. Seen a few drivers do that, and yeah, good effort there from him. But yeah, it does look like they're going to go for the medium tyre, doesn't it?
Yeah. So they'll all be pouring back into the pit lane here, and then they'll be strapping on the set of the medium compound of tyre. That being said though, Jake Benham has decided to go out from the start on the medium, but even so, he's not quick and he's going to be coming back into the pit lane. Jeffrey Ritchie's already fitted a set of the mediums in the pits, and he's coming out for his out lap and in towards turn number 1. Yep, it's going to be medium tyres for the entire grid here. And we'll see what they can do. Jeffrey Ritchie's got acres of space around him and a whole lot of clear air. We'll see what he can do with that.
Yep. Let's see how he gets on as Jeffrey Ritchie begins this outlap. Simon Perigny then. So he's another one quite happy to go for it on the soft tyre. So both Red Bulls going for the soft compound. So two drivers at least going for a half decent lap on the softs. Tell you what, Ronhar's not guaranteed to beat that time. I'm not too sure. I mean, I don't know what the offset is between the softs and the medium, but given we saw only a lap time half a second quicker than that from Nicholas Longue, there's no guarantee he'll beat that. I think, is that fair to say? I mean, I would think so. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out, but he's given himself a bit of a task to beat that time. Well, I suppose we'll have to wait and see how these first laps go from the likes of Jeffrey Ritchie, who's out there on those medium tyres now.
Yeah, unless that was a complete push lap from Ronha and then he just made a mistake and didn't back out of it, and he's planning to start on the softs, but I'm a bit confused about that. Andy, my game has just crashed, unfortunately. I don't know why it loves doing this. Yeah, my game's crashed here, Andy.
Okay, no worries. We'll see when you come back. Have you got an invite, Dan? Are you able to join back?
I should be able to join.
Yeah, no problem at all. Good stuff. We'll get you back shortly, and while we wait on Dan returning, we'll keep an eye on Jeffrey Ritchie then. So we'll get an idea of what kind of lap time we can expect from the medium tyre. Dan suggesting perhaps Ronhar was on a push lap. It could have been. Every possibility he was. If not, though, he's given himself a bit of a lofty target to try and beat with the medium tyre. We'll have to wait and see how it goes as Jeffrey Ritchie swings himself into turn 4. We saw Verstappen and Leclerc battling earlier on today. Those 2022 cars did certainly look like they're going to provide some good wheel-to-wheel racing through the corners, but I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I just felt they weren't as draggy, so slipstreaming wasn't as easy down the straights. Certainly for Max Verstappen it was. That Honda engine certainly looked pretty quick until it gave up, but here is Jeffrey Ritchie then making his way towards this middle sector. We've seen 104s, low 104s, the middle sector times, being very, very strong. Maybe a little bit slower than that on the medium compound, but let's keep an eye on that top right-hand corner, and we'll see how it goes for Jeffrey Ritchie. Is it even into the fives? Yes, well into the fives. 105.2 through the middle sector for him. How does that compare to those behind him? We'll find out in a minute as Jeffrey Ritchie continues on his way on this set of tires. Jake Benham, interestingly, on the soft, because he was out there on the mediums in the first part of qualifying, so a bit of a mixture there. So Jake Benham on the softs, but here is Ritchie coming to the line now. Does he beat Ronhar's time? Not even close, 26.7. And as Ronhar boxed himself into a corner with that lap time, unless, of course, he intended to do that. We'll have to wait and see. Alvaro Caraton now crossing the line, but he's on an out lap. And I think, is that Haddad crossing the line? But yes, it is. But he's also on an out lap. Tomek Paradzis, though, 105.0 through the middle sector. And I think he, though, is on a pretty decent lap. So let's see how Paradzis does on the medium tyre. The bar has been set by Jeffrey Ritchie at 26.7. Let's see what Paradzis can do as he comes around the final corner across the line now. 1 minute 22.4 from Tomek Paradzis. Good effort there. And will that see him through into the next part of qualifying? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back in the session. It's saying it's full. Have you noticed that anyone might have joined the session whilst I was gone, because I can't get in here?
No. As far as I'm aware, no. I don't think anyone joined. That's a strange one, Dan. Well, hopefully we can get you back in. But that's quite concerning. I don't think anyone joined. Oh, right. Chili says in the chat that someone random did join. Okay. How are we going to get them out? How are we going to get them out? But, right. Well, we're stuck at the minute, folks. Hopefully we can get that sorted pretty soon. But Dan has been locked out of the commentary box. Sorry, Dan, I've put a padlock on the commentary box. You're not getting back in, mate. I'm sorry. You're not getting in. But anyway, Jake Benham has gone quickest of all with a 25.2. I'm not too sure what we can do about this, folks. I think we'll have to reset the lobby at the end of qualifying, or maybe at the end of this session. I don't know how that's going to work out. But Dan, you can keep banging on the door of the commentary box all you want. You're not getting in.
Surely this is some sort of unjust dismissal, you know. I think I might be suing WOR after this, because this is quite frankly disgraceful scenes here. Yeah, interesting stuff here. I guess I'm not going to be here for qualifying.
Well, I suppose you can watch, because it's not, the stream should not be far behind. So, I mean, you're only going to be the best part of 3 or 4 seconds behind, Dan. So, yeah, I suppose you'll just have to watch what I'm watching for the next little. Oh, you're in. There we go. Finally, Dan Field joins the session. Welcome back. Welcome back, Dan. You're in. Good to have you back in. But this is the situation with 4 minutes to go. Jake Benham on top, 25.2. Top 4 drivers have gone for soft tyres. Benham, Perigny, Parnell and Ronhard. And there's no doubt about it. Ronhard ain't beating that time on a set of medium tyres, because Barry Burimad's 4/10 off him. And 4/10 is an awful lot to try and overhaul if you're Thomas Ronhard on a set of mediums. So I can't see that working for him. But yeah, it's beginning to shape up quite nicely. Louis Welsh at the minute. Is he out there on a lap? Looks like it. Is he pushing? Yes, he is. So let's see how Louis Welsh gets on. The pad man bidding to get himself into the final part of qualifying here, Dan.
Yeah, and then I've been faced with more glitches, because I can't even control anything. I'm watching a blank screen. I've got no sound. Can't control anything. I'm having to Alt F4 here. F1 2021. Wow, Codemasters is such a wonderful service that they provide to us. You know, I love logging onto this game to commentate, and it doesn't even work half the time. You know, it's just such fun.
Oh well. Hopefully we can get you back in, Dan, for the next part of qualifying. So yeah, you're just going to reset the game, and hopefully we'll have you back in no time at all, unless someone else tries to take your job when you're away, when you leave the session. We'll have to wait and see. But Jake Benham has retired from the session, 25.2. He's happy with that. That is easily going to see him through. It's the quickest time I've seen so far today. Benham looking to be on the march. So is he going to be in line for pole position? We'll wait and see. Louis Welsh is in line to start a flying lap on the medium tyre. At the minute, the cut-off, Ruben Pedreño, P10, 1 minute 26.4. That's the target for Louis Welsh. Can he do it on these medium tyres? A few drivers on out laps on soft tyres. Tomek Paradzis and Piotr Stachalik have both gone to softs. So some are on mediums, some are on softs. It could be quite a mix-up in terms of the field going into this race, in terms of the tyre compounds and choices. We'll wait and see as Louis Welch then makes his way through that first sector now. It's a 27.977 for the Alpha Tauri man. The pad man makes his way down the hill into this tricky downhill right-hander, and now shoots out of there into another tricky left-hander. And as Dan says, they try and straight line this corner and braking as much as they can, and Louis Welch does exactly that. Takes plenty of curb on the exit of the corner and makes his way down this short straight parallel to the F1 paddock and pit straight, and then heads out towards the back end of the racetrack here in the desert night in Sakhir through that high speed right-hander, and now swinging into the penultimate turn on this racetrack through the middle sector timing beam, and just 2 corners to go now for Louis Welch. Let's see where he can put his car. Currently looking at a 26.4 to get into the next part of qualifying. It will be a moving target. Many drivers out there on the softs as Louis Welch comes across the line now and goes P13 with a 1 minute 26.622. Not the best of laps for Louis Welch. Let's see what he can do next. Dan, how are you getting on?
Yeah, I've been able to get back in. Nothing's changed. I'm going to try and plug my controller in, but I'm getting quite annoyed at this game having so many glitches, so many bugs, and just like... it really does annoy me. I'm watching, I think, is Simon Perigny going around the circuit very slowly. Just let Liam Parnell go through on his run. But yeah, hopefully in the next session it can be all right. But I might have to request a lobby restart if things doesn't get better.
Yeah, well, hopefully, just WR are saying tell Dan to stay in, and it may reset for Q3. So that'll be the hope. Hopefully we won't need to do a lobby restart, but yeah, of course we need our commentator to see the action as we get towards the end of the session. So 3 drivers have seen the flag already. Barry Bruneman, Caraton and Longy, because they're all in the pits. They will not be doing a lap. Tomek Paragis then, 26.4 at the minute, looking to go onto the softs and push himself into the next part of qualifying. Is he going to knock a few others into trouble? The likes of Longy, the likes of Caraton and Burumad, who are not on laps. Paragis then, the winner last time out, coming up to the line now, and he goes P2, 1 minute 25.2, cannot dislodge Jake Benham from P1. So it's looking good at the minute for him. Louis Welch crosses the line. He is P13 and out of qualifying, no doubt about it. Perigny and Parnell on laps. Parnell sees the line now. He's P3 on a 25.3. What about Daniele Haddad? Or is it Stachulek? Yes, it is. Stachulek in the final corner on the softs, and this is easily going to see him into the next part of qualifying. It's P1, the quickest time we've seen of the weekend so far. Stachulek, 25.1. Good time from him. Ruben Pedreño is in the drop zone. He's coming around the final corner now. This should get him up the order. It puts him P6. Will it be enough to see him through though? Jeffrey Ritchie is out there. Daniele Haddad, no, Fabrizio Donoso as well, but he's out. It's a 26.6 for Donoso. It's really not a great lap at all from him. Haddad's bailed out. He's out of qualifying. So let's go to Ritchie and see what he's doing. Round the final corner, can he knock Longy, the championship leader, out of qualifying? He can! He tried to back out of the lap, and in the end, knocked Longy out still, by 0.005 of a second. Incredible.
I mean, qualifying, what twists and turns we're seeing there. Nicolas Longy, championship leader, eliminated here. Alvaro Caraton, his main rival, just about sneaking through it to complete swap of what we saw last week, where Longy managed to see himself through. Now, and Alvaro Caraton was eliminated in Q2. This could turn the tides back the way of the Spaniard in the championship, and when it's so close like this, the tiniest of margins can mean the world to them. So really well done to Alvaro Caraton here.
Yeah, Caraton and Buraman through on the medium tyre. How big a factor will that prove to be? It should be an advantage for them. That's why they all try to do the laps on the medium tyre. So they are through. Stachulek then, quickest time of the weekend so far. 1 minute 25.196. Jake Benham is through. Tomek Paragis is through. Liam Parnell, Simon Perigny, Ruben Pedreño and Thomas Ronhard. Both Hassies, both Red Bulls into the next part of qualifying. Barry Buraman, Alvaro Caraton and Jeffrey Ritchie as well. Championship leader Nicolas Longy is out, as is one of his rivals, Shanaka Clay. Daniele Haddad joins him on the sidelines, as does the pad man Louis Welch, and Fabrizio Donoso. Disappointing effort there in P15, still getting back up to speed after that break he had when he was off to Chile. So good to have him back in, but unfortunately he is out at this stage of qualifying, Dan. A few heavy hitters dropping out from Q2, and yeah, Longate disappointed, as will Shinakakli.
Yep, absolutely. I think that they won't be happy with how that race, that qualifying session has gone for them. But Q3 is now on the horizon. The classification didn't even show up for me, which is just wonderful to see. So I don't even know where everyone was because I was trying to fix my own issues. But if all things are correct, then this is going to be a brilliant Q3.
Well, hopefully the game's going to work for you now, Dan. Hopefully it'll be a little bit kinder this time round. We have got drivers about to head out onto the track for this final part of qualifying. Before we head there, Dan, come on then, prediction time. Who is going to get pole position tonight here in Sakir?
Is Tomek in Q3?
Yes he is.
Then I'll put his name down.
Well, there you go. That's the difficulty Dan's having at the minute. He's a few problems, but let's jump into it anyway, and we can have a look at it. Tomek Parages on an outlap as we speak. People in the chat, let us know. Who is your predictions for pole position? He's going for Tomek Parages as my good friend Dan. I am going to go for Jake Benham. I think Jake Benham is going to get pole tonight. I've got a good feeling about him. Barry Bunamad in there. We know how strong he is. Probably, or might potentially be the fastest qualifier on the game. Jarno Watmere, of course, very, very quick in qualifying too. Alvaro Caraton, one of the championship contenders. Is he going to get pole? Come on, folks, let us know in the chat. Joshua Davis has gone for Barry. May 1990 has gone for Jake. So, Jake, Barry, the first couple of calls from people in the chat, and I agree with you, Joshua. Insane one-lap pace. That is exactly what he has. Barry Bunamant, one of the quickest out there. Let's see what Parages can do. He was very, very strong last time out. Can he get the pole position here? Calls of Statulek as well. Cobalt says Statulek. Jeffrey Ritchie. Well, let's see if he can get himself on pole position. That would be a super job as well. As here comes Tomek Parages round the final corner. About to start a lap, Dan. How is things for you at the minute? Are you seeing anything?
I am seeing a pit lane because I think whoever the game has defaulted me to watching, I think it might be Perigny, is still in the pit lane. It's actually a Ferrari car that I'm watching now without any audio at all. I think this might have been caused by that Ake person joining. So yeah, it's messed everything up, I think.
Okay, well, it's not looking good for Dan. Hopefully we can get a lobby reset and he's able to see the action for the final part of qualifying as Tomek Parages goes through the first sector. 27.6 for him in the first sector. How is Simon Perigny and Liam Parnell doing? He's on an outlap, sorry. Let's go back to Tomek Parages at the minute then. Keep an eye on the Aston Martin driver as he continues to pound round and to see if he can set a good benchmark. Remember, the fastest time we've seen so far between Q1 and Q2 is that of Statulek. Of course, that 25.196 we saw at the end of qualifying 2. We're now at the start of qualifying 3. The track beginning to ramp up. How's Parages looking through the middle sector? He's looking reasonably good. A 104.327 through that middle sector now. But at the minute, it won't be as quick as what we've seen from Statulek earlier on. So let's see what Parages can do. It will be, you think, around about a 1 minute 25.4, 25.5, 24, around there. Let's see. Parages up to the line now. Is it a 25.5? It is a 25.5. Goes P1 for now. Statulek, though, is out there and on a lap. His middle sector is quicker than that of Tomek Parages. The Polish drivers trading fastest times early on in Q3, and at the minute, it's Statulek that's on the march and looking like moving himself ahead of Tomek Parages. So into the final corner comes Pyotr Statulek now and heads to the line in that Scarlet Ferrari. Leclerc was on pole yesterday. Statulek goes on pole here for the Ferrari team, but it is early days, of course, but it's a good lap from him. He is P1 for the minute. What about Liam Parnell? He's on a hot lap, as is Jake Benham. So let's pick up Benham at the minute. 27.6 through the middle sector. What can Benham do? As Dan watches on, I'm forgetting Dan can't see anything at the minute. So I'll take the reins for what remains of qualifying here as Jake Benham is purple through the middle sector. A 104.221. Let's see how he gets on then. It's looking like he should do enough to displace Stachulek, who's currently P1 at the minute. Benham then into the final corner, swings the Mercedes in. He's my pick for pole. He's a few people in the chat's pick for pole. He's coming up to the line now. Benham for pole, gets it, beats Stachulek by around about half a tenth of a second, and he is P1 here in Bahrain at the minute. Good lap there from Jake Benham. Who else is on the lap? Liam Parnell is. His middle sector, though, is not up to the standards of the drivers who have gone before him. Here comes Liam Parnell into that final corner now for Red Bull, and he will now make his way up towards the line to complete this lap. How's it looking for Parnell? It's going to be fourth of the 4 times so far at 1 minute 25.9. Not the most spectacular of laps from him. Jeffrey Ritchie, though, is out there. He's on a lap, as is Alvaro Caraton, and he's in the final corner, and he's certainly looking like the quickest thing out there in that Williams. Caraton, the man from Spain, heads to the line, should be pole. Oh, it's not. He's lost a lot of time in the final sector. Barry Buneman, meanwhile, does take pole. 1 minute 25.103. Quickest of all here in qualifying. What a time from him as Stachulek pits. Let's see what Jeffrey Ritchie can do. Up to the line, he's currently 8th. He stays 8th. It was not a particularly good lap from him. Meanwhile, Thomas Ronhart on his first run of the session is matching the likes of Buneman and the likes of Caraton through the middle sector. So into the final corner now. Can Thomas Ronhart challenge Barry Buneman's pole time? He can challenge, but he can't beat. He only goes second on the grid. He's a 10th down. Ruben Pedreño though for the line. He's P4 behind behind Jake Benham, behind his teammate, and Barry Buneman. First run's done. Buneman on top. Ronhart in second, Dan. Not bad from Barry Buneman.
Yeah, I mean, that's a time clear of anyone else. I've not been able to fix any of these issues, and I don't think there is any working around it. But Barry Buneman, really impressive scenes from him. But yeah, I'm just trying to see in chat as well, like in the Discord chat, to see if that can help. But yeah, no one's really coming up with the beans at the minute. As far as Q3 goes, I don't see anyone beating Barry here. I think that could be our pole time. 25.1 is insane. He's so close to 24s, and I imagine the only person who could actually beat that is himself.
Yeah, so Barry Buneman showing his incredible pace once again over 1 lap. And he's beaten the field, a 25.1. What a lap that is to take pole position here. But there is still 1 run to go. You never know. Ronhart's close. Jake Benham not far away. Caraton up to the middle sector was on a decent level in comparison to Barry Buneman, but he just lost all the time in that final part of the lap. And in the end, it's not worked out at all for him. So everyone coming back to the pits now with 4 minutes to go. And you went for Peradzis, Dan, but I think you're quickly changing to Barry Buneman. That's basically what you're saying, isn't it? You think Buneman, that time might not get beaten?
I'd imagine so. I think that's got to be the time for pole. 25.1 for Buneman. I mean, my pick for pole. Parajis is 4 tenths behind that. Andy, I'm just wondering if you can actually like screen share on Discord, see if that could help. Just so I can actually get some live footage here and possibly be able to commentate the last 3.5 minutes of qualifying here, because yeah, this is I can't see anything else. Possibly though, I think Barry he can still beat that time in terms of how the qualifying session's going, but I'm not too sure who else can. I really only see Barry doing that.
Yeah, let me see if I can get that on for you right now, Dan. Apologies, folks, while I sort this out, and Dan might be able to see some of the action. There you go, Dan. Tell me if you can see that. And now we can see the action on track. Both of us can maybe see the action on track. Are you seeing that, Dan?
Indeed.
Good
Lovely.
stuff. Excellent. So we've now both of us able to see the action. That's what we need to see. Jeffrey Ritchie is on an out lap. 26.0. Not a particularly quick lap from Ritchie initially, Dan, but he'll certainly be looking to improve on this. But Buneman at the minute with that great lap, going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeffrey Ritchie currently slowest of them all on a 26 flat. He's got a full second between himself and Barry Buneman. Just about that. So he has got a lot of time to make up. But again, we do see Ritchie come out early pretty often, as he's having a pretty bad run on this outlap. He's invalidated there. But it doesn't matter how his outlap goes. It all depends on how the race the actual push lap turns out for him. As up the hill he goes. It's going to be him on his own, but I'm seeing a whole onslaught of drivers coming out of the pit lane, which...
Apologies for this, folks. I'm going to have to stop this, Dan, because now nobody else can see the stream because it's lagging. So I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm going to have to lock you back out of the commentary box, I'm afraid. We'll just have to sort this with a lobby restart, I think. I think that's the only way this is going to be doable, unfortunately. As my PC decided, nope, Dan's definitely not getting to see this, and decides to have a few issues. That means the 165 people watching also can't see it. But unfortunate stuff there. Hopefully we'll get Dan back for the Grand Prix as Jeffrey Ritchie now starts a flying lap in the back end, sliding there for him, and already not looking good for him at all. So Jeffrey Ritchie, lap ruined, you'll have to go again. So everyone else then on out laps at the minute. Dan, if you watch the stream on YouTube, it might actually be not too bad because it shouldn't be too far behind. I'm looking at it now. It's only a couple of seconds. That might be your best bet until the end of qualifying at the minute. But Jeffrey Ritchie out there at the minute, and he's bailed out of that lap. So is Barry Bruneman's 25.1 going to be beatable for any of these drivers? It's going to be a tall order for them at the minute. He is looking very, very, very strong. Ron Hart close though. Benham close as well. We saw Alvaro Carreton look very strong too. So there's every possibility he could do it, but his final sector was poor as Liam Parnell gets the final runs underway and heads down to turn 1 now. Let's see what he can do. Barry Bruneman also starting another flying lap. Let's see if he can do something very, very, very special. His initial lap is already pretty special. Is he able to go even quicker? Let's ride on board with one of the fastest men on the Formula 1 game. The man from Iran, Barry Bruneman, pushing up the hill, looking to go even faster than the 25.1 he's posted already. Keep an eye on the top right-hand corner. Let's see if Bruneman can go even quicker through that first sector. So let's see, top right hand corner, what's it going to be, a 27 what? A 27.5, and he's finding half a tenth through the first sector. Barry Bruneman here is on course for what could be a very, very special lap. Is he going to be doing a 25.0 here potentially? Maybe even quicker than that. Bruneman absolutely flying out there at the minute, but he's gone wide, very, very wide and off the track, and he's invalidated the lap, and Bruneman, who was on a special lap, has ended up invalidating it as he now under pressure from some of those rivals behind. Tomek Paragas is one of them. He's on a lap at the minute. He's P7 and now making his way up to that middle sector timing beam. Currently 4 tenths down on Bruneman on his previous lap, but he's 3 tenths quicker this time round up to the middle sector, so he should now get a little bit closer to Barry Bruneman's time. Here he goes then, down towards the final corner. Can Paragas move himself up from 7th on the grid? Bruneman, the 25.1 is what he's going to be aiming for. Here comes Tomek Paragas for the line in the Aston Martin. Can he get near him? He can go on to pole. 25.0. Tomek Paragas beats him. What a time that is. Here comes Simon Perigny to the line. Where can he go? Stays P8. Here comes Carreton. What a lap this is. Oh, the final sector lets him down again. What about Jake Benham? Lap is invalidated. It won't happen for him. What about Ron Hart? He's invalidated too. But what about Ruben Pedreño? Currently P6, needs an improvement and does go up into P5. Stachulek though, he's on a lap, coming to the line now, and I didn't quite see where he went, but wow, what a session that was. What an end to the session, and it was Tomek Paragas finding the time at the end, got the job done, and put it on pole with a 1 minute 25.0. We said it wouldn't get beaten, Dan. In the end, it did.
Yeah, and I was actually wrong and right at the same time. Tomek, my pick for pole, ended up coming out on top there with the 25 flat. But I didn't expect it, to be honest, after Barry's lap and how far ahead of the grid he was. And given that he unfortunately lost all that time in that final part of the lap, you know, I think that would have been an insane time still if he'd managed to carry that forward momentum, and he would certainly be on pole. But for Barry to be, for Tomek to be in that position 2 times on pole in a row, it's got to be meaningful to him.
Yeah, we're very, very happy with that. I'm sure he will. But of course, the big factor is it's Barry Bruneman on medium tires to start. Alvaro Carreton also on the medium tires. So those two, you would say, have that strategical upper hand. So you would think Barry Bruneman on that basis might be the favourite to win this race, Dan.
Yeah, I do think so. Given that he has the potential to be the quickest on circuit, despite that, you know, not all potential is fulfilled. And who knows, drivers outside the top 10 starting on the mediums could come into play later on. I'll try and get back in the lobby now. Hopefully the game decides that it finally wants to be on my side. And yeah, we can get this session underway. Yeah,
well, hopefully you can jump back in, Dan. No sign of a lobby restart at the minute as Dan jumps back in, which is good to see. And I'm sure we'll have a very exciting race ahead of the drivers. It's time to get your predictions in, folks. Who are you going for the winner of round 8 of this championship? The Bahrain Grand Prix coming up live here in WR in a few moments' time. Formation lap about to get underway. Tell us, who do you think is going to be the man that gets the victory here tonight? I'm going for Barry Brunemand on that strategy. Dan, do you go with that as well?
I'll go with it as well. You know what, I think we never agree with each other, so I'll take your side on this one. We'll go with Barry Brunemand together. Okay,
let's see if that is indeed what is going to happen. We're going to find out as we get underway in a few moments' time. It is round number 8 of the championship, and it is coming here live. The Bahrain Grand Prix. Let's jump into it now. Here it is then, Sakir in the desert. Round number 8 of the championship, season 12 here in WOR. Should be a cracking race tonight, under the lights in the desert tonight. The Bahrain Grand Prix then, in our first season on all platforms, 3 winners of the opening race of the season at Bahrain became Tier 1 champion. Will the winner tonight go on to win the title here? Here's the circuit then, 5.4 kilometres, 3.362 miles and 15 turns ahead of the driver. 3 long straights and plenty of opportunity for overtaking around this fantastic circuit here in the desert tonight. Well, previous winners, Jake Benham came out on top here last year. He was looking very strong in qualifying, but he was disappointed to be 7th on the grid. Let's take a look at some of the previous highlights. Dramatic start to the season, dramatic start in season 11 when we had a bit of an interesting start down to turn 1. Ron Hart in the battle in there as they all went through that first corner, and then at turn 1, Simon Shooter battling at the front with Jake Benham. What action there between those guys. They made their way up the hill towards turn 4. I wonder today if we're going to see similar action at the start of the Grand Prix. Every chance to well, almost 3 wide into the braking zone on that particular occasion. It should be an awesome race. Let's jump down into it now. And Dan, I've got to ask you, how's things? Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Finally. I've actually been able to get in. It only took 3 restarts, a bunch of invites from Louis and Ruben, so really thankful to them as well that they've helped me get back in. But we'll put qualifying behind us because, quite frankly, F1 was just having a laugh there. It's taken the absolute mick out of me. So yeah, I'll just put it behind me. I forgive and forget. I'm a forgiveful guy. And we'll get on with this race because 29 laps of Bahrain is something that is going to be very exciting for the viewers and these drivers to watch today.
Yep, well, round 8 of the championship here in Bahrain. We're about to get going as Tomek Prats lines his car up in pole position as he just gets ever closer to that grid slot. Barry Brunemand lining up alongside him on that medium tyre, remember, folks. Let's have a look at the tyre compounds. There they are on the left-hand side. Barry Brunemand on mediums, Alvaro Caraton on mediums, and then everyone outside the top 10 with the exception of Sam Corby, who's in 18th place and on the hard compound tyres as the back of the grid now file into position. The last man into this slot will be McClavsich after that rather strange crash in qualifying. He makes his way into that spot now, and now we can go back to the front. It's Brunemand and Paradzis sharing the front row under the lights here in Bahrain for round 8 of the championship. Well, who's going to come out on top in the desert? It was Leclerc earlier on. Who'll come out here tonight? As the 5 lights are on, and we are racing in the desert. McClavsich just jumped the start before we get going, but Paradzis has had a fantastic getaway. He moves away from the grid and will easily lead uncontested into the first corner. He leads Barry Brunemand and Alvaro Caraton 2nd and 3rd on the medium tyres at the minute. Ron Hart looks like he's battling away in there in 3rd and takes a little bit of contact there, in fact, and they now go 3 wide up the hill. Ron Ronhar's in there, Stachulek's in there, and Jake Benham too. And look at that, Benham up to third. It's Ronhar fourth and Stachulek in fifth as they make their way down the hill. And there's a spinner at the back. I think that's Jeffrey Ritchie going round and rejoining in P20, Dan.
Yeah, and it's been a shocking start for Alvaro Caraton. He's down in 15th position. Contact with Ronhar. Saw him go off the circuit. Might have slight bits of wing damage, but he's still competitive, and he's going back up the outside of Duncan Hoffland to retake 14th position. So the Frenchman's not had a good start, but Shanaka Clay and Nicolas Longue have both been silently working together here because they're now scrapping it out in 9th and 10th position. So they've managed to break into the top 10 on their medium compound of tyre, and they'll be hunting down the two Red Bulls in front of them. But at the very front of the order, Tomek Parajic with the perfect getaway. He's now 1.1 seconds clear of Barry Buraman, despite, of course, Barry having the weaker tyres. Tomek has been able to pull out such a huge advantage early on, and that's going to help him later on in the race.
Yeah, perfect start for him, of course, on the tyre difference, paying dividends there for Tomek Parajic as we ride on board with Ruben Pedreño in 6th position at the minute. Let's go up to his teammate in P4, Thomas Ronhar, 3/10 off the back of Jake Benham. Don't think he'll be making any moves this time into turn 1 as Caraton, McLavsic, Ritchie and Hoffland are all in the pits at the end of the opening lap, so not ideal at all for them. I did see in the background Caraton have his moment as you touched on, and that was a real shame for him as they climb the hill up towards turn 4. Ronhar settling in there in P4. Let's have a little look at the change in positions. Jake Benham, the big winner, up 4 for those in the top 10. Luke Smith up 5 to P14. Alvaro Caraton, as we touched on, down massively, 15 places, and a championship contender in the wars early on, and that is not what he's looking for, Dan, at all.
He's going to be hoping for a safety car at this point, otherwise his race is as good as over. He's on the medium tyres at the minute, so he's going to have to stop again at some point. Other drivers that got damage, of course, were McLavcic, Ritchie and Duncan. I don't know what quite happened with those drivers. I saw Ritchie had his spin. McLavcic spun on the outlap, but I have no idea what has happened with Hoffland. As on lap number 2, seems like Barry Buraman's creating a bit of a train behind him. Jake Benham could be the first one to take advantage of the weakened Iranian. Little bit of a weave down the straight, maybe to just signal that he's not going to fight the Mercedes, who is on a charge at the moment. As we'll see off the exit of the final corner, Jake Benham is going to get the run on Barry Buraman. Tomek Parajic with the fastest lap. That immediately swings away of Benham, and it easy as you like, trying to go up the inside. Is Barry going to try and fight this? Into the braking zone they go. Jake Benham in towards P2. He's now got 1.4 seconds to go until he's up behind Tomek Parajic. We'll see if Barry decides to fight this, because he does have DRS on the Mercedes car. He is certainly closing, he's gaining, but not enough to go back up the inside. So I don't think Barry wants to take out any of his, he doesn't want to take the life out of the mediums just yet, because he's planning to go long here.
Yeah, Barry Buraman not interested in getting involved in that battle, and he just lets Jake Benham breeze past him up the inside and into 2nd position. So Parajic then holds his lead, but can Benham get within range now of DRS? That's got to be his target. He needs to find 4 or 5 tenths of a second, and that is not easy against someone like Tomek Parajic. We've got a yellow flag out there, and I think it's Caraton. He's having a shocker, and he's round again. The man second in the championship. And I tell you what, I've just said in the chat, I'll eat a battered Mars bar live if Caraton wins from here, because John Evans asked me to. And, well, I think I'm pretty safe that I won't be doing that on the stream today, Dan.
Yeah, I think I'd go for a battered Mars bar just in general. I've heard they're quite nice, so well, yeah, maybe I'll take one. I'll take it if you're offering.
Well, they're all right. I'll say that much. I'll say that much. As Fabrizio Donoso then, we pick him up in P12. I wonder if the Chileans have ever tried a battered Mars bar. I'll need to ask him about that one. I wonder if that's in their cuisine. As Fabrizio Donoso crosses the line then behind Louis Welsh. Can he get close enough for a move? Maybe Louis Welsh can get close enough for a move. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And get to turn 1. Doesn't look like they are close enough into the first corner for any kinds of position changes. So it's all about cab before the storm early on in this Grand Prix. Not much in the way of overtaking, but we have seen Barry Buraman lose out to Jake Benham, given the difference in tyres. And Buraman does look to be in a very strong position. The only man that qualified on the medium tyres in the top 10. Caraton was the other, but his race has already been undone. So looks like Barry's in a very strong position here, and you would fancy him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Barry, if he can keep with these soft runners, which he's doing a fantastic job of doing, then he is going to see himself in a great position And for the final nail in the coffin for Alvaro Carreton, he retires in the pit lane. So on lap number 4, we've already had our first retirement. And that's a big one because it's a championship contender. Nicholas Longuet, no matter how many points he scores today, he's still going to be ahead of Alvaro Carreton in the championship standings. So it is all about just extending that gap as much as he can. He's down in 9th, so only gaining 2 points on the lead that he has on Carreton. So that'll leave it to be 4 points after this race. But of course, all to play for, and especially on those medium compound of tyre, it's going to be the strategical advantage going the way of the Frenchman. As on to lap number 5 they go. Tomek has been caught by Jake. Barry's still hanging on in there, but I think Ronhar might get a bit impatient behind the Iranian.
Speaking of impatient, Donoso has been following Louis Welch for a few laps now, but again into turn 1, it's just turning into a bit of a DRS train. Not close enough to get through into the first corner. So at the minute, Donoso's still stuck there in between. He's still stuck there behind Louis Welch and Shinaka Clay, and just in front of that, Longuet just holding them up a little bit, but understandably on the medium tyre, but they're all on that tyre. Longuet still, though, doing a decent enough job to maintain the DRS to Liam Parnell in front of him, so the medium runners doing their job, just about clinging on to Parnell and Perigny and Pedreño at the minute in that particular fight, as we are now on lap 5 out of 29, things settling down here in the desert in Bahrain. The closest to a move at the minute does look like it might be Simon Perigny getting closer to Pedreño, but again, with the DRS active for everyone, it's going to be quite difficult to make a move at this stage of the Grand Prix, isn't it?
Yeah, the DRS train, very characteristic around circuits with some quite long straights, and well, there's 3 DRS zones, as Tomek has gone quite wide off the exit of turn number 13, and now Jake Benham's right on his rear. I think Tomek trying to give up the position so he can sit in the slipstream and DRS of Jake. As on to the main straight they go. We'll see if they back out. Yeah, you can see just trying to pull over and let Jake go right through. To the outside line goes Jake Benham, the all-star himself, and into the braking zone they go. Now that advantage is going to swing back the way of Parajic, because he is going to have the DRS on the Mercedes car. But I'd imagine if he wanted to give up the position, well then he would have. There'd be no point in going back through, as into the braking zone they go. Jake Benham is now your leader, but it's still a long race from here.
Yep, long race from here. Parajic then had a 1.5 second lead. He's let it get whittled away, and now is happy to concede position to this man, Jake Benham. And is that a tactical move? You suggested it might be, Dan, sit in the slipstream. And if you're new to esports and league racing folks, at this level, it's all about ERS management. And let's take a look at that telemetry now. Jake Benham, 40% on his battery. Parajic is down at 32, so they've both been eating the battery. Barry Burman on the medium tyre, both more battery than both of them. So Burman driving beautifully at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah, he is really in a strong position, and PSGL championship leader Jan Ortman has just come into the live chat, and he said that Barry's got this in the bag. I'd certainly be agreeing with him at the minute, because he's keeping pace with the soft runners on lap number 6. He's actually going to be quicker in just a few more tours of this circuit. I think Thomas Ronhart's getting a bit impatient though, trying to look to make the move on Barry, as he's using some of his ERS off the exit. The Dutchman could go up against the Iranian, as in towards turn number 1 again. The DRS train not helping Ronhart's case for an attack, as in towards the braking zone they go. Barry Broman's going to remain ahead of Thomas Ronhart, and this is just going to be helping him out even more, because he's not having to use any of his resources. He's got 60% of the ERS. Benham has 33%. Parajic has 25%. So Barry Burman playing this so smartly, and it is going to be playing into his favour for the foreseeable future. I think at this point, if Barry just keeps up what he's doing, he's going to be uncontested by the end.
Yeah, he's doing absolutely fine. Barry Burman looking very strong. And even Jarno Opmeer believes that this is in the bag for the Iranian driver. And he's in control at the minute, up in 3rd position, with everyone else still to go onto the less grippier but more durable medium tyre. Burman just sitting in there, quite happy at the minute, as Benham continues to lead from Parajic, Burman and Ronhart. But Ronhart getting a little bit interested now and having a look at Barry Burman. But are we getting towards the stage where the medium tyres are going to start being quicker than the softs, as the red striped tyres begin to wear out? We'll have to wait and see as they make their way up at the top of the circuit and down that back straight
dear.
towards the final corner, and we have lost Jeffrey Ritchie from this Grand Prix, and that is a safety car.
Wow.
And that will make things interesting, and that's why you can't always say that things are in the bag for anyone, because safety car deployed, and that changes the dynamic of the entire race, and they're all pouring into the pit lane then. Here we go.
As expected, none of these guys should stay out. Barry, I think Jano's cursed him here.
Yep.
You know, saying that he's got it in the bag because he's been completely screwed by this safety car call. He's come into the pit and fitted a set of the hard compound of tyre. Corby's had to stay out, I believe, because Louis Welch is ahead of him. But everyone else decided to come into the pit lane despite the chance of a double stack. As Jeffrey Ritchie doesn't have a chance anymore, unfortunately. I know everyone's heartbroken at that, because I don't know where this has started. This has started from saying Jeffrey's got a chance, but not anymore, unfortunately, as the grid, I think, has been only slightly shuffled by the safety car.
Well, all I'll say is I'm glad Caraton's out, otherwise the Baton Mars bar debate might have been coming back to fruition. I'm only kidding, of course. Fortunately for those two, they're both out of contention, but Barry Buraman then onto the hard tyre. It's really shaking things up. Absolutely incredible. So Sam Corby now leads this race. He's going long on the hard compounded tyre. Super Sam Corby in the lead. And if I remember back, he had a pretty strong race in the opening race of the season, didn't he? And he was on the podium back then when Danny Beresley took the victory. It seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? All the way back in January. But Sam Corby leads the race, but of course yet to make that pit stop. So he's going long.
Yep, and I think Super Sam Corby is, you know, he's going to win this race from here. I think he is the greatest of all time. Of course, the WOR champion. He could have won that race in Belgium,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. He was attacking Danny right until the end of that race, and yeah, it was really lovely to see. Hopefully, he gets another chance to perform in in intense situations like these. But of course, he's got to pit at some point. You have to mandatory. It's a mandatory rule to at least make one pit stop and use 2 different compounds of tyres in a Formula 1 race. So Sam Corby, unfortunately for him, that lead will dissipate at some point. Whether it's the mediums or the softs later on in the Grand Prix, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what he decides to go for, but he is now the leader of this Grand Prix, getting a few laps under his belt at the helm of the field. Jake Benham will be the net leader ahead of Tomek Paradzis and Barry Buraman then, who's had to go onto that hard tyre. He'll be furious about that situation. Everyone outside the top 8, with the exception of Barry and Sam Corby on the hard tyre. Liam Parnell also on mediums, and a few other drivers actually coming into the pits and pitting again. So Haddad, Smith and Hoffland all coming back in and fitting fresh mediums. That's quite an interesting one there, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, we'll see how that gamble works out for those guys. Of course, everyone who was on the medium tyre had to use the hards, because of course they can't go on to another set of the mediums, which can go to the end of this race, especially since some of those laps are going to be under safety car conditions. As I think it was a little bit of an exchange between Clay and Donoso. Doesn't seem to have resulted in anything. Donoso is going to repass Clay, so as to not... Okay, I'm not too sure what's actually happened between the pair of them.
It looks to me like they're both getting told to let one other car through. It looks like that's what's happening. You let me through, no, I'll let you through, and then they're both getting penalised for it. I'm guessing, I don't know. But they've sorted it out anyway, and Donoso is now ahead of Shinaka Clay. But yeah, an interesting one there between those guys, but they are now sorted. We're on lap 9 here out of 29. We've had a safety car due to the incident involving Jeffrey Ritchie. I didn't actually see it, but he did crash out there, I think, and he's out of the Grand Prix. Shinaka Clay then running in 11th at the minute. Let's see how he can get on in the hard tyre. He wants to get back into this championship fight with one of his contenders, Alvaro Caraton, out of the championship picture now. Let's see how it pans out. But Paradzis then, safety car in this lap right behind Jake Benham. I wonder if he can do a better job of the restart than what we saw from Verstappen, who for some reason earlier on today took that inside line so tightly into the final corner, and it compromised him down the straight and had Carlos Sainz all over the back of him. But surely Paradzis will be wise to that one, as Super Sam Corby is now going to be the safety car. He'll dictate the pace, and we'll get going for the start of this Grand Prix once again on lap number 10. So round the final corner Safety car coming in, and Sam Corby waiting to the last possible minute to drop the throttle, and it's almost like a proper restart. He's dropped it beautifully there. He's left Jake Benham behind as they cross the line, and we get going once again here in Bahrain. Sam Corby leads them down into the first corner ahead of Jake Benham, Tomek Barajis and Barry Burman as they make their way into that first corner now. Perigny was up the inside there. That was very close between Stachulek and Ronhart, and Perigny has to give way and drops down to P7. Now on the run up the hill, is he going to be close enough to have a go at Stachulek? He's going to try and make the move out on the outside of Stachulek, not quite able to do that. Pedreño's in there as well, trying to fight hard but not fighting hard enough to gain the place, and he stays where he is. Meanwhile at the front, Jake Benham all over the back of Sam Corby and diving down the inside of Sam Corby, tries to make it stick. That was brave from Benham. Can he make it work? Maybe he will. We'll go on board with Paragis for a front row seat, and Sam Corby defends beautifully and holds on to the position. Benham trying the move in a place you wouldn't normally see it. Now second attempt for Jake Benham. Can he get the job done this time on Sam Corby? Doesn't look like it. Corby holding his ground beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crucial for Jake Benham that he overtakes Sam Corby and has him as a buffer to Tomek Paragis, I'd imagine, as he might look to go up the inside into 13. And he hangs back for the time being, which is going to give him the clear run in towards the first corner. Sam Corby could be defenceless here, but in towards the final turn now on this back straight here. Sam Corby leading from Benham and Paragis in behind. Barry Burmand not too far from the action as well. Is here to go off the exit. Sam Corby has got to do all the defending if he wants to maintain this lead, but I don't think it is going to be possible. There goes Benham to the inside line. What about Paragis as well, as the Aston Martin looks to get his nose in there, and he goes up the inside of Jake Benham. The two of them going to lock horns in the first corner. Jake trying to get a switchback move, the Mercedes against the Aston Martin, as now it's going to be slipstream running for Jake Benham. Where can he look to go? Can he maybe possibly pull a dummy in towards turn number 4? No, he doesn't, but Barry Burman looks up the inside of Sam Corby into turn number 4, and now Corby's dropping down the order like a stone in water. So your new order at this point is Paragis, Benham, Ronhart, Burman, Stachulek, Corby. That's your top 6 as Perigny goes up the inside of the Alpha Tauri car, and it is all kicked off here. Pedreño's gone around somewhere. He's losing all the positions in the world, but I think after that restart, drivers are going to try and start to calm down now.
Yeah, well, Barry Burman going for that brave move up the inside. It ended up losing him a place to Thomas Ronhart, and now he's got Stachulek all over the back of him as well, but Stachulek not quite close enough to pounce on Barry Burman, but Paragis was there. He was ruthless up the inside of Benham and into the lead on lap 11 out of 29. It's going to be quite the fight for victory. Who will it be that comes out on top? We've got Paragis, Benham and Ronhart all in with a chance, but nothing's in the bag, remember. We said that earlier, and we were wrong because the safety car turned it all on its head as they go round the final corner. Is Benham going to be close enough to attack Paragis into turn 1? Not using any of the battery. Doesn't look as if he's too interested in doing so. Stachulek, meanwhile, is using all of the batteries, almost drained it, and he's having a go at Barry Burman. Whoa, that was very close between them there. There were a bit of a disagreement about what way to go there, and now Stachulek's forced wide by Barry Burman, and does not work out for him, and he's going to have Simon Perigny all over the back of him now as well. Here comes Simon Perigny. Is he close enough? No, he's not. He stays where he is, but that was very interesting, and Stachulek slides wide, and now Perigny's all over him as Longy has got himself ahead of Sam Corby behind, but Stachulek really struggling to pick up the throttle here.
Yeah, having some issues in his Ferrari car, sort of similar to what we saw in F1 today, where it was the Red Bull against the Ferrari, but that was for the lead. This is for P5 on circuit. Perigny once again having a brilliant race, of course, in Belgium in PSGL. He was fighting with Jarno Opmeer right until the bitter end. Now he's in the point scrap, as there's another spin further back behind. That's Liam Parnell. A lot of drivers losing their cool here, and Liam Parnell is the latest offender, as off in towards the third sector they go. Piotr Stachulek is going to be defending from Perigny unless he can find an attack on Barry Burman, as Clay has managed to overtake Sam Corby in behind. Perigny once again closing to the rear of the Ferrari car in towards the last corner. It's turn number 14. There you go, and off the exit here through the slight kink, which is considered corner number 15. It's going to be the Frenchman against the Polish driver, and it could be, oh wow, it is absolute slaughterhouse from Simon Perigny to go up the inside into the first corner. No no defense from Stahalek, and that's because he used all of his resources in attacking Boromand, and that he just wasn't able to defend from Perigny.
Meanwhile, behind that, look at this scrap going on. The two Alpha Tauris and the Alpine of Fabrizio Donoso in the scrap. Donoso up to 10th, and now is that Luke Smith having a look up the inside? He had a really poor qualifying, did Luke Smith. He's up the inside of Corby, who's being eaten alive out there as Liam Parnell joins Pedreño, Ricci and Caraton on the sidelines. He retires in the pit lane here on lap 13 out of 29. It's all happening on the racetrack at the minute as Smith is up to P11. So let's go back to Stachulek, who's been also eaten alive and drops down to 6th position. Barry Buneman still holding in quite well on the hard tire. Nicholas Longue also about to move himself into position behind these guys and into DRS territory. So he's also keeping himself in contention here. But Perigny now is setting about Barry Buneman, and he wants to make another move here. Perigny, brilliant in PSGL during the week, following it up with another fine performance here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if he can go for a move on Barry Boromand. In terms of a resource game, they're pretty similar on the levels of ERS that they have, so they'll be on level pegging as they fight in towards the first corner. It's all about the exit off of here because it's a long start-finish straight for Perigny to utilise his battery and try and close to the rear of the Iranian ace. Here he goes, closing to the McLaren car, but again, the gap's just not opening up. As in towards the break zone, he goes from a long way back, a 10th to the rear of Boromand. He goes up the inside. Barry was not expecting that whatsoever. And wow, from Simon Perigny. Wow, that was epic from him to go up the inside from quite some way back, it looked, from my point of view. I don't know if it was the camera angle, but nevertheless, that was a really committed and brave dive up the inside. Almost missed his braking point, but he just got the car stopped in time, and Boromand had really no answer to it at all. Yeah,
great move there from Simon Perigny, sticking it up the inside very, very late on the brakes, diving out from behind the McLaren and puts one on Barry Buneman. Excellent stuff. Perigny in fine form at the minute, as we touched on, into P4, and will he be able to challenge for the victory? Meanwhile, here is Thomas Ronhaar getting ever closer to Benham and Paragis, and it looks like it could be a bit of an interesting scrap between these three at the front of the order pretty soon. I wonder who's going to come out on top in the fight for victory. Perigny about to join this group as well pretty soon. I wonder who's going to come out on top. It will be interesting to see as we are now about to go beyond half distance as they make their way into the final corner once again. Paragis still leads, Benham is second, Ronhaar now starting to get a little bit closer, and I think he fancies making some moves up through the field. He won't be able to gain though on Jake Benham. Benham meanwhile is gaining on the back of Paragis. Will he go for the move into turn one? No, he'll not. He'll just sit behind the Aston Martin for now.
Yeah, Tomic's actually gone pretty deep in towards the first corner, and off the exit, Jake Benham looking closer than he was ever before, as in towards turn number 4. These guys don't want to be fighting this point in the race. Tomic didn't really show any signs of wanting to defend that position, but Benham didn't show any signs of wanting to go for the move, so they're locked in a stalemate at the moment of just charging the battery, saving the resources they can deploy later on in the Grand Prix. When those tyres begin to go off, you know, that's all they're really going to have left to actually keep the car on the road, and that's a luxury that Simon Perigny doesn't have, despite being in this train. He's only got 30% of his ERS. Everyone in front of him has got at least 70%, as well as Barry Boromand in behind. You know, we've got to think about him, and when he's quicker on his hard tyres compared to the old and worn out mediums, he'll be quicker, and they've got to use the battery the best of their ability to try and hold him off. But for now, they're just maintaining position. It's a little bit of a lull in this race, but I'd imagine in the next few laps, when the tyres begin to go off, the driver's going to start to get impatient, and sparks will fly.
Yep, sparks will sure start to fly here in Bahrain tonight. It's already beginning to boil into a very exciting fight at the front as we go back on board with Simon Perigny as he runs in 4th position behind Thomas Ronhaar. Ronhaar getting a little bit closer to the cars in front, but it doesn't look like he's going to be making any kind of moves as they all concertina up right now. We've got a bit of a battle going on at the back of the pack. Tom Martinez in 16th as McClassic has just gone past Sam Corby, but Martinez at the minute running at the rear of the field and trying to scrap for every point he can as we go back up to the front of the action. Here they are then, all in a line. It is Paragis, Benham, Ronhaar and Perigny. Stachulek in there too. I wonder, will these hard runners be able to make a race of this when the mediums start to wear out? Let's wait and see if there is a possibility. It will not be the quickest route to victory, the medium is the tyre of choice, but, you know, there's every possibility come the end of the race the mediums might start to struggle, as we now look from this beautiful camera shot from Jake Benham, looking back at the rear suspension and the Haas car of Thomas Ronhaar. But I'm interested to hear what people think in the chat at this stage of the race. Who do we think is going to win this Grand Prix? Parages, Benham, Ronhaar, Perigny in there too. Dan, who are you going for at this stage?
To win this race, oh, you know what? Just for a bit of fun, I think Nicolas Longuet from 7th.
Okay.
You know, he's hanging back at the minute. He's only got about 55% of the battery, but you know, he's not used his tyres too much, and he's not really been fighting anyone. He's just keeping a safe distance from the top 6, letting them do all of their, letting them exchange all their blows, and then he'll phase in later in the race. So we'll see what he can do, but I could see any one of these guys in at least the top 8 winning this race from here.
Yep, every possibility. It's certainly looking like it could be a fantastic finale to this one. Safety car already in the Grand Prix, making things very interesting. Barry Burman was in a really strong position early doors. It's totally flipped back round, and we keep an eye on the action here. Very, very close. We've got another car round at turn 1. It was Miklavsic. He's got going again. It's been a forgettable weekend for him. And meanwhile, in front of that, Tom Martinez has just got himself ahead of Sam Corby as they fight over 14th and 15th down at the rear of the field. So action everywhere at the front and at the back of the field as Shanaka Clay joins Louis Welsh with a 3-second time penalty. So that's a real kick in the teeth for those drivers, isn't it? Not at all what they're looking for as we continue to watch these guys. Let's have a little look at the telemetry then. 63% battery for Thomas Ronhaar, 35 for Perigny, not good at all. Parages up at 80, Benham 100% of the battery, not using any of it at all, and for that reason he's in a very strong position. Barry Burman on 52.
Patience really is a virtue, and I know that everyone would just like to go for the move whenever they can, but they got to think about the long game, because you can't win the race on lap number 17. You know, you got to go the full distance, and so Jake Benham is biding his time, not attacking Tomek Paragic, and Tomek's not having to do much defending, so he is keeping most of his ERS as well. So it's all a little bit of a stalemate, but once again, the later they get into this race, the more impatient they'll go, and the more that they will they'll start fighting. And I'm really excited to see how that all turns out, as Miklavsic has crashed on circuit, and that's the safety car deployed again. He should have retired in the pit lane there if he's done that on purpose.
Yeah, that's not good, Miklavsic. If that is the case, he's crashed at the final corner, and he is out of the race. So another safety car deployed, and well, this will now lead to everyone, I presume, coming in for a set of soft tyres, and then it will be level playing field, everyone on the same type of tyres. Miklavsic then crashing at the final corner. We haven't seen it, we don't know if it was intentional or not. It certainly was in qualifying, but well, this could be interesting. I presume everyone's going to go to the softs now, Dan, and it will be a straight fight for victory. Is there anyone out there that's in the top 10 that has a teammate also in the top 10? I don't think so, really. I think it is all drivers of different teams in that top 10, which is an incredible stroke of luck for those drivers out there, isn't it? Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah, I think the only drivers that might suffer here are going to be Luke Smith and Duncan Hoffland. They're outside the top 10 at the minute, and actually maybe Daniele Haddad. They've all got teammates within the top 10, and they're all within one train. I would say Martinez as well, but he's quite a way back from the train, so I think he might actually get away with pitting behind his teammate and doing the double stack. But I'd imagine all drivers are going to pull into the pit lane. We're going to see the fresh soft tyres, hopefully, if they've kept a set spare for a scenario like this. We'll see if anyone tries to pull a Vettel and overtake into the pit lane. I don't believe so.
Benham certainly tried.
Yeah, I saw some guys try and overtake, but it didn't work. But I believe some of these guys, either on a fresh set or a scrub set of tyre. Paragic, interestingly enough, has fitted a set of the medium compound of tyre, as has Donoso, as has Stahalek. So they're not trusting the softs to go to the end here. But 10 laps on this, and plus a few runs underneath the safety car. I believe it is a mandatory 2 laps the safety car's got to do. I'd say that the softs are the quicker tyre, and it's beneficial to be on the Red Bull tyre.
Yeah, well, that's interesting then. Paragic, has he used up all the soft tyres? I mean, I don't think he has. So that's an interesting one. Paragic, medium tyres, and he will be the leader of the race when Martinez pits, but he's certainly going to be struggling to to hold those guys back initially. But what about Tom Martinez, though? He's now the leader of this Grand Prix. Winner, of course, last year in Canada. And you can hear him draining the fuel there. I heard him on board just revving the hell out of the engine. But here is Martinez then. 10-lap old hard tyres in the lead. Surely he'll pit at the end of this lap and fit a set of softs, because if he doesn't, he's going to get absolutely mauled at the restart, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't see any really coming back from this. You know, we saw what happened to Sam Corby the last time in the safety car when he stayed out on his around about 10-lap old hard tyres as well. And, you know, he's down in 15th now, so I don't think Tom Martinez is making the best call here. But we'll see if it works out. Maybe he's just relying on everyone else to completely destroy themselves and he can just slip by without any issues. But that is highly unlikely on a grid like this, where it is very competitive, and a lot of these drivers have a lot of mutual respect for each other. You know, they'll give the room to one another. But we'll see if he does pull into the pits. It won't be the end of the world. He'll still be where he was before, which was fighting with Sam Corby for 15th place. But we'll see if he does pull into the pits. Maybe he's just doing one less lap. Who knows? As into the final corner they go, following behind the Aston Martin safety car. I really do love that car. We'll see. Does he pull into the pits? Yeah, he's pulling off to the right-hand side of the circuit. So Tom Martinez is going to concede his lead. And it's going to be Tomek Perez just leading from Ron Hart, and then Jake Benham in third for the final laps after this safety car comes in.
Yeah, so Tom Martinez onto the soft compound. Second safety car of the afternoon then. So not only Paradis, Stachulek mediums, Donoso mediums as well. I find that very interesting. With so few laps left and a few laps under the safety car as well, as you touched on, Dan, to see some of them go for it. But at this stage, you do now start to feel that this is a difficult situation to see Paradis winning from this situation. Ron Hart ahead of Benham now, so that's interesting as well. Let's see how that pans out. But, well, this will be very, very interesting. I wonder who's going to come out on top. Barry Buraman still has a chance. Now on level playing field with the others. Now on the soft tyre. I wonder. You still going for Longuet, Dan?
You know what? I still will. I still am going to say Nicolas Longuet is going to take the win here. He's now a position improved on where he was previously. He was in 7th last time, and now he's up in 6th. And I think he can do it. I have faith. Simon Perigny, I don't know how it's happened, but he's dropped down to 9th position here. I don't know if you touched on that yet, but yeah, he's all the way down in 9th position despite being in a fight for the lead at some point. So I'd imagine he got held in the pit lane. And that's also why Jake Benham would have been overtaken by Ron Hart, because the earlier grid slots tend to be less favourable, and that's why drivers they like picking the Williams or the Haas or the Alfa Romeo, of course, if they're not affiliated with the team. So yeah, it's unlucky, but the safety car's in this lap. We're going to be going for lap number 21. It's going to be 9 laps left to go in this Grand Prix.
9 laps to go then. Here tonight in Bahrain, the second safety car. Bit of a disjointed race with a couple of incidents on the circuit. And we are now going to get going. Tomek Perez on the medium tyre. Can he hold off the challengers on the softs of Thomas Noronha, Jake Benham, Barry Buraman? Stachulek's got a bit of a stopgap for Buraman between he and Longuet, which I'm sure he will be happy about as they make their way around the final corner, and Paradis leaving it very, very, very late, and he finally drops the throttle, but he's going to be under threat right away then as they make their way over the line to start another lap here. Ron Hart's right in the wheel tracks behind him. Benham's there as well. Ron Hart tries the outside lane. Benham tries the inside, but somehow Paradis fends them off, squeezes Ron Hart a little bit wider, and now as they rise up the hill, Jake Benham is in prime position to challenge the Haas driver as they get to the summit at turn 4. Benham looks at the outside. Ron Hart tries the outside. Now tries to switch back on the exit as they make their way down the hill. Ron Hart wheel to wheel with Paradis down the inside of Paradis. Gets it done as we lose Louis Welsh from the Grand Prix. And will that be another safety car? What a move from Ron Hart. Barges Paradis aside as we now see Paradis battling with Benham and losing out to Jake Benham. He's through and up into second position. Big move there as as Barry Bunaman now tries to get himself alongside Paragus as well. Paragus, though, picking up the toe from Jake Benham in front, fends him off for the minute. But what a move from Ron Hart. Benham followed him through as well. And Paragus on the mediums, quite clearly, as we expected, starting to struggle as Barry Bunaman now moves himself into range and might even dive up the inside here. He does! What a move from Bunaman. Opportunistic, as you like, up into P3.
Absolutely, it's been a disastrous restart for Paragic, and his woes could continue here because here comes Longue in towards turn number 14, the final corner, final braking zone for him. Not quite able to make the move stick this time, but I'd imagine in towards turn number 1, the Aston Martin is going to be losing yet another position. Both Alfa Romeos making the moves as Luke Smith's up to 6th position. Longue goes into P4 as he goes up the inside in towards the first corner, gets close to the rear of Barry Burman. Luke Smith is now looking to make the move on Tomek Paragic. No DRS this time by, that will be enabled next lap as Paragic holds on to P5 for the time being. But I think the damage has already been done. I think, he must have used up all of the softs because he was not confident to go onto that set of tyre, and that has hurt him dearly.
Yeah, very dearly indeed. And now Luke Smith, who came out of nowhere here as Paragus slides in the Aston. He's going backwards. Luke Smith now moving himself into a potential top 5 position. He was nowhere near that throughout the race. He had a terrible qualifying session, and now he sees an opportunity at a very, very good result. Here he is then, behind Tomek Paragus, who might need to defend the inside here. He stays where he is on the right-hand side of the track. He knows it's coming, and Luke Smith eases past him and up into the top 5 as Barry Bunaman now begins to shadow the 2 leaders, Thomas Ronhar and Jake Benham. And is Barry Bunaman now going to rise and punish and pounce on both of the drivers in front? We'll wait and see. Nicholas Longue, the championship leader, with his championship contender Alvaro Canaton out of the race, also thinking there's an opportunity for him to try and win this race as they make their way round the final corner and across the line onto lap number 23 out of 29. Fastest laps all over the board as they make their way down towards turn 1. Is Benham going to think about a move on Ronhar? He's getting closer and closer, but he decides to back out behind the Haas driver.
Yeah, and of course, I think DRS now being enabled, they're going to get their first tasting of it down in towards turn number 4. Yellow flags, that's Duncan Hoffland that's gone around, and Martinez has picked up a penalty for that. There must have been some contact between the pair of them. Stahalek, his troubles continue. He's got a time penalty now for 3 seconds for track extensions. Ronhar leading though from Jake Benham, and Barry Burman in behind in third. There's a lot of discussion in the live chat at the minute as to who has got it in the bag. Jon Ortm is saying Barry, Joshua Davis saying Thomas, then mystery person is saying Jake. So the top 3 all in question for who can take the win. The top 5 realistically have an equal opportunity to win this race. Is that Ronhar going wide off the exit of turn 10? I don't believe it was, but Jake Benham is losing time to the Dutchman, and Barry Burman could seize an opportunity to go up the inside and towards the first corner as they rise up the hill through turn number 12. They go, careful not to touch that inside curb in towards turn number 13. Barry Burman has got 2 tenths until he is clear of Jake Benham and has an opportunity to attack Thomas Ronhar, the Iranian ace, looking as quick as ever. Into the braking zone they go for turn number 14. Ronhar leading from Benham. Benham has a slide off the exit of the corner. That could punish him because here comes Barry Burman in towards turn number 1. The fastest lap for the Iranian driver as they're all flying down the main straight. Jake Benham looks to the outside of Ronhar, who has no defense as Burman goes up the inside. And could there be some contact there? Almost there was, but I think they've just about avoided it as Jake Benham leads this race. Barry Burman in second. We got a VSC because Donoso's out.
Donoso off at turn 1. That must have been a massive shunt there as he retires from the Grand Prix at the first corner. We didn't get to see it. And the safety car, the full safety car is out again for the 3rd time this afternoon. The safety car is deployed. This is incredible. 3rd safety car, and that is our 7th retirement of the Grand Prix. This is incredible. And now Hoffland, Martinez and Clay can all fit fresh soft tyres because the safety car was deployed before they got to the line. How crucial could that be?
Yeah, that might actually save some of their races. They're going to have to make the moves on circuit though. It won't come their way. I'd imagine anyone else out on track is just going to stay out on the tyre that they've got, likely since they were all within Q2 and Q3. I think the top 5, actually no, the top 3 all were in the 3rd session of qualifying. Then Longue, Luke Smith, Haddad, they might have a spare set. I don't know why I'm mixing up words like that, but yeah, I'd imagine they're just going to stay out. No DRS as well for the end of the race, unless it's lap number 29. If we do get underway on, lap number 27, we won't actually have DRS. No DRS for the remainder of this race, Andy. I've just got to step away for one moment, but I do not want to miss any of this action.
Yeah, near to that. It's quite a crazy race here in Bahrain tonight. 3 safety cars. I don't remember the last time there was 3 safety cars in a WOR race. Jake Benham, he knows all about safety cars. If you remember the opening race of the season, he overtook it and got disqualified from the race back in Belgium. Let's hope he doesn't do that tonight while leading the Grand Prix. That's it, Jake. Cruise up behind it and stay behind it. That's the rules. Yeah, well done. There you go. That's it. So Jake Benham behind the safety car this time. And Barry Burneman is next. Thomas Ronhar, Nicholas Longay, and there are stops being made by some of the drivers on the fringes of the top 10. Corby, Paradzis and Perigny have all gone for another set of softs, and that is very strange from Paradzis. He's going for the softs now. Why did he not do it earlier on? Incredible. What was he thinking at the first stop? Well, Paradzis then, 9th at the minute, and back in the fight. Stachulek on the mediums, he's carried on in 7th. So Jake Benham now leads from Barry Burneman, Thomas Ronhard and Nicholas Longay. But there are drivers on 5-lap fresher soft tyres behind. Well, everyone wasn't sure who was going to win before. Is anyone sure now? Can anyone like Paradzis perhaps, or Perigny, win the race on 5-lap fresher tyres? Does anyone think that? Interesting to see if it is possible. We will have to wait and see. It's going to be a fantastic finale to this Grand Prix, that is for sure. Lap 25 out of 29 here in WR. It's been a marathon race tonight. 3 safety cars. Plenty of action at the front and in the midfield. So let's see who is going to come out on top. And this will be very, very interesting. Lap 25 out of 29. 7 retirements. Donoso, Welsh, McClassic, Parnell, Pedreño, Ritchie and Caraton. 3 of those contributing to a safety car. As we get ready to get going again, Jake Benham ahead of Barry Burneman.
And lap number 26 is coming up next. I'd imagine once Martinez and Clay catch up to the field, which they should be doing in due course, then we will get underway. We've got at least one more lap underneath the safety car conditions. And I'm just wondering at this point who is going to be in the best place to take the win. And who is going to suffer the most from the presence of those faster on fresh tyres. You know, the likes of Corby, Paradzis, Perigny. They're going to be quick against the runners ahead. And you know, the likes of Smith, Haddad, and certainly Stachulek might lose out on some of these positions. So it is all a guessing game at this point. As I don't know if this happened to you. Okay, Jake Benham just lagged in front of the safety car. He's got to be careful, actually, Benham, that he doesn't overtake the safety car again, because that's what happened in Belgium. And he was disqualified from that race. So leading the safety car train, and imagine he's taking a little bit of extra care.
Yeah, actually, it was just as you left, a little joke about it when he cruised up to the back of it. I was just reminding him, if he was listening, yeah, don't overtake it, Jake. But yeah, if it lags and he lags in front of it, that would be even worse for him. But just listening to Barry Burneman's car there, revving like crazy to drain the fuel, because these drivers, they don't usually expect 1 safety car in a league race, let alone 3. And yeah, they're probably having to drain all that fuel to get to the end of this Grand Prix with as light a car as possible. It's quite incredible. Who's going to win? There's a vote, there's a poll up there on the live chat. Go on then, folks, make your vote now. I'm going to make my vote, and I am going to go with Barry Burneman. I think Barry Burneman will win it from here. We'll wait and see. Who you go for, Dan?
You know what? I'm still going to remain faithful. I think Nicholas Longay still going to win this race. And despite, no matter the result, coming from a Q2 place to now being in a potential fight for a win, and certainly in a scrap for a podium, as now the safety car is coming in. I'm remaining faithful to the Frenchman in 4th in the Alfa Romeo. Regardless, it's going to be a great race for them. 4th and 5th for the team. They're leading the constructors' fight at the minute, and this is only going to improve their chances. But weaving now down the back straight to regain all the heat in the tyres. When is Jake Benham going to pull the trigger, as we've got a final shootout of 3 laps in this race, Andy? Who is going to win today?
3 laps then in what has been a wild race, and Jake Benham, unlike the other drivers at the previous restarts, releases the throttle. Well, I thought he would released it, but he hadn't. I thought he was going round the final corner and going for it. He goes for it now though, drops the throttle, and we are go for 3 laps of drama here in round 8 of the championship. Benham has left Barry for dead, and now Ronhart is all over the back of him. He's having a look down the outside. He won't be able to get through there though. Will he? No, he won't. Barry Bruneman has it covered as Haddad and Smith battle in the background. Both Ferraris and both Alfa Romeos having a real scrap behind as Luke Smith holds on as they go up the hill at the minute. Haddad is in there fighting. Let's see what happens. Haddad up the inside, on the outside, sorry. Luke Smith going through though. Haddad goes wide. Now the Statuelec pulls alongside, and both Ferraris are going wheel to wheel down the hill. Incredible stuff there. Haddad holds on. Statuelec has to settle for P7 as behind that Sam Corby and Tomek Perantis are battling as well. Longy meanwhile is ahead and clear of Thomas Ronhart.
And that's my pick to win, and he's up into 3rd position. Thomas Ronhart losing out on that, but now the gap is beginning to form as there's a fight for 7th position. Sam Corby has found himself now up in 6th on his fresh set of the soft compound of tyre. Could he sneak a surprise result as Daniele Haddad tries to go back around the outside using that momentum of that wider line into the corner? It hasn't worked out, and now he could be at the mercy of Perantis, who sends one from a long way back, and that might work out for him as they're wheel to wheel off the exit, side by side down the straight, swapping paint, and they're still making contact. What is Haddad doing? He's forcing him to right to the inside, but Perantis holds his nerve and he's maintained that gap. He overtakes Daniele Haddad, who's now going to be leaving with his tail in between his legs because he's losing the position to Perigny and potentially Stylek into the first corner. Where's this going to go as the Ferrari looks to the outside of the Red Bull car? Duncan Hoffman as well in the McLaren is trying to make moves work in towards the uphill part of the circuit into turn number 4. I don't quite know where to look as Haddad now tries to go back around the outside. More contact once again for the Ferrari man, who loses a position to Duncan Hoffland.
Oh, that's absolutely wild stuff there. It's like a Formula 4 race. Absolute drama going on in the midfield. There we go. Haddad nearly running into the back of Hoffland. It's all happening out here. Sam Corby now is absolutely flying, but he's got Tomek Perantis all over the back of him. These guys on fresh tyres are so much quicker than 8-lap-old softs. So like Sam Corby did in the opening race, got a podium, can he go one better and perhaps even win the race? That would be quite astonishing, but he's got so many cars to overtake in such a small space of time, as Haddad has also had a spin somewhere out there on the track, and he is now down in 13th place. A forgettable afternoon for him. But here is Super Sam Corby on the march and looking to make some ground. Meanwhile, Barry Buneman, as we're about to start the final lap of the race, is attacking Jake Benham out the final corner. Action absolutely everywhere we look as we go on to the final lap here in WOR tonight. Jake Benham leads. DRS is now enabled, and now there's an opportunity maybe for Barry Buneman. Benham defends the inside. Buneman round the outside into turn 1. Longy watches on, keeps a tighter line, and will now have a fantastic run up the hill. He's already past Buneman. He's now on the back of Benham. Longy, the Frenchman, attacking hard at the finish of the race. Round the outside goes Nicholas Longy on Jake Benham. Can he make it work? Oh, on the curb he goes. Benham fending him off brilliantly as Longy gets a penalty. What a fight this is going down the hill. Benham is in front. Longy now second as Buneman goes right round the outside of him. That is absolutely epic stuff. Longy then drops back to second. He couldn't quite get through on Jake Benham, who defended brilliantly from the flying Frenchman, who's picked up a penalty in their process. What a final lap of this race. Longy now on the attack once more of Jake Benham. To sells him the dummy. Up the inside he goes. Benham forced wide. This is absolutely wild stuff on this final lap. Buneman now right behind the pair of them. What a finish to this Grand Prix. That's incredible from Buneman, and they're all off the track. Buneman spins round. Benham now leads. Longy second. Buneman drops right out of the points. Absolutely incredible. Sam Corby on the podium. Absolutely nuts. As they come round the final corner, Benham looks like he's going to do it in the most dramatic of circumstances. He crosses the line and wins here in Bahrain. Longy second. Corby gets second in the end. That was absolutely nuts.
I don't know what has just happened there. Barry, for some reason, sent it from so far back to make it 3 wide in turn 13, and that was the undoing of it. Yeah, that's unfathomable. Sam Corby, by the way, has taken P3.
P2?
I think
P2?
Peter. No, I think. In fairness, though, I think Longate's getting that penalty removed because he was forced off the circuit, and that would have picked him up the warning. So I think he will get that one removed. But regardless, Sam Corby's on the podium today, and if that was all kicking off and that continued, then he could have taken the win in that race. And from 18th on the grid, it's yet another sensational drive from him and Luke Smith as well. Hats off to him. He's third after the penalties being applied from coming up from 19th on the grid. But it's Jake Benham standing atop the podium for Mercedes from 7th on the grid. And I don't know how anyone could have called that one there, because that was incredible. And 3 safety cars in Bahrain yet again leads to a Jake Benham win. That's 2 times in a row that we've seen that. So incredible stuff. It was so insane.
What a crazy finish to that race. You're right, we almost had the 3 of them all off in a spin at the penultimate corner, almost opening the door for Sam Corby, but Benham wins. Corby second for the second time this season from 18th on the grid. Luke Smith from 19th on the grid gets on the podium. It's absolutely bonkers here in Bahrain. Perigny is 4th, Paragus is 5th, Hoffland and Ronhard are 6th and 7th, but Martinez in the points in 8th. Longe was only 9th after all that, and Shinaka Clay was 10th. But yes, you're absolutely right. Longe might get that penalty removed as he was battling Jake Benham. So Stachulek was next, then Barry Buneman, then Haddad. The rest of them didn't even see the flag. It was wild out there. And it was Donoso, Welsh, McClavsic, Parnell, Pedreño, Ritchie and Caraton. None of them get to the finish. Oh, breathe, breathe, goodness. Apologies for that, folks. A bit of a technical issue there. I managed to turn my PC off in all the drama and excitement when I went to sit back there. We are back, though. What a finish to that race. I was just about to get into it, Dan. It was really, really dramatic. What a final lap that was. Things got a bit overboard at times, didn't they? By the way, we'll hope to hear from the drivers in a few moments' time, see if we can get some of them in for an interview. But wow, what a finish that was, Dan.
Yeah, that was something else, really. What a final lap of racing where they're all going hell for leather against each other. But yeah, it was unfortunate that it ended in the way it did, you know, with Barry spinning himself out. I think that was self-inflicted by going up the inside. And I don't really see that as being Longe or Benham's fault. But I would have liked to have seen, you know, them at least, for the show that they put on, I'd have at least liked to see them 1, 2 and 3. I don't even know if we picked up on Barry actually having a penalty in the end. So even if he might not have got that removed. So it wasn't looking good for Barry. With that penalty applied, I'm not too sure why he even would go for the move. But, you know, I guess each to their own. Other than that, though, it was a tremendous finish.
Yeah, I can only assume that he thought he'd maybe get the penalty removed, and that's why he would go for the move like that. Otherwise, you wouldn't even consider doing something like that. You're absolutely spot on. It's a strange one, but yeah, it was pretty dramatic out there. Paragus was pushing hard to try and get back into the podium positions as well. The fresh tyres, they were a big difference, and Sam Corby could even have won the race at the end. It was incredible.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he had the pressure tyres. I'm trying to stifle a sneeze at the minute because I'm still under the weather about, 5 weeks in advance. So, yeah, but Sam Corby just clear of everyone else really. The greatest driver really to, I think, ever grace the league racing scene. Of course, Game of the Best 262, CRG Gamer, or Sam Corby, whatever you like to know him as, he is still the same competitor. And you know what? I think with his long tenure, he did deserve to take that podium today.
Yeah, he did. He sure did. A great performance from him, and that's his second of the season. Always comes in the crazy races with the safety cars, doesn't it, Dan? But Sam Corby sure did a great job to negotiate himself through all of that drama. Really exciting stuff. And in the end, Longy only finishing 9th, not really getting any advantage at all on his championship rivals, but it did look like it was a penalty that might perhaps get removed, as he was in a battle with Jake Benham at the time, wasn't he?
Sorry again, I'm having some lag issues. I think my PC's having its own issues. I think everyone's having our issues today, Andy. I won't lie, because I hardly got any of that.
All I was saying was that Longy, I think, on that penalty, do you think he'll get it removed? I mean, it did look like he was battling with Benham, and it would be harsh to penalise him for that.
Yeah, I think he will get that removed, because he was sort of pushed wide. Maybe not even pushed wide, to be honest, but he did go wide and get a penalty, which I've actually had the exact same scenario before in one of my league races back on 2020. And I did end up getting that one removed. So maybe if the WOR stewards are feeling nice, they'll remove that penalty for Longy, because I think after that performance, finishing in like 9th or 10th, wherever he finished in the end, it's not really deserving of his performance, because I think he was certainly one of the quickest drivers on the grid today, coming up from a Q2 finish to all the way in the upper reaches of the grid and on for a win at some point.
Yeah, he was, and you were saying throughout, you stuck by him. He was 6th and he looked unlikely to win it, but you stood by him and he almost did. Great exit out of turn 1, wasn't it, on that final lap? I thought he was going to get the pair of them at the top of the hill. It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I was holding out hope that my prediction would be right, because I think we hardly ever get it correct in the commentary box. And you know what? Just finally, I could have been correct, but no, wasn't meant to be. I think a commentator's always supposed to be wrong, and then we'll get flack for it in the live chat when we are wrong. So, yeah, it's how the game is, really. But Longy, he shouldn't be disheartened by not taking the win, because he was really competitive today.
Yeah, he was really strong. Great performance from him, and he should hopefully get that penalty removed, and it will surely open up a championship lead even bigger for him after Carrington had a really, really bad day. Drama throughout, 3 safety cars. I mean, do you remember the last time we had 3 safety cars, Dan? That was incredible.
Yeah, I don't remember
ever
in WOR having 3 safety cars. I think it might have been Luke in the live chat actually did mention that the last time there were 3 safety cars in PC was in Bahrain last season.
Wow.
And then Jake did win that race, so he's 2 on the trot for 3 safety cars. So if you ever want to put money on something, it's Jake Benham taking a win when there's 3 safety cars on circuit.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird odds, but hey, it works.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't go overtaking it, because he did, of course, do that back in the opening Grand Prix of the season. But it doesn't look like we're going to have any drivers for interviews, I think, with that little misdemeanor we had a few minutes ago. Going to knock the stuffing out of that. But thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. It was a really dramatic finish to the Bahrain Grand Prix. Really exciting. Try and pick the bones out of that one, Stuarts, because it was pretty crazy stuff. I'm glad I'm not one, I'll say that much. But yeah, that's all from myself, Ginger Andy and Dan Field tonight. We'll be back again for the next race of this exciting championship. The title race really is getting pretty hot and pretty exciting now, as Nicholas Longy hopefully will get that penalty removed and push clear in this championship race. But that's all from myself, Ginger Andy. That's all from Dan Field. Be sure to join us again next time as we head to round number 9 of the championship. That's all. Goodbye.
On his debut, Jarno Uppbeat wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ronhard takes his first WOR championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a 2-time WOR champion.
of it around the outside of the line. Shadow is contact to get rid of her. Is around.
Bethany, surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
16 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.